In the heart of the 9th century AH, when the world was burning in the darkness of war and division, a light rose from Kashan that illuminated the world with numbers, precision, and wisdom. Jamshid Kashani was not just a mathematician, he was a visionary who calculated the number pi with incredible accuracy, brought decimals to life, and measured time using the sun. A man whose mind was far ahead of his era, creating concepts that still amaze modern thinkers. This story is not just about the life of a scientist, but the extraordinary journey of an immortal mind. Jamshid Ghiyath al-Din Kashani was not merely a star in the sky of science, he was the sky itself, where the stars of order, numbers, and knowledge rose. Centuries have passed since his body grew cold, yet his thoughts still live on in the heart of formulas, the precision of calculations, and the breath of every enlightened teacher. Kashani taught us that the boundaries of science are not limited by geography or language. Rather, they expand through passion, accuracy, and truth. Today, more than ever, the world needs minds like Kashani's, minds that break silence with wisdom. The 8th and 9th centuries AH were a crucial period in the history of Iran and the Islamic world, a time when, despite political turmoil, the flames of scholarship continued to burn brightly. Jamshid Ghiyath al-Din Kashani was born during this era, when Timur Gurkhani and his successors held power, and science flourished under the patronage of the Timurid rulers. Jamshid Ghiyath al-Din Kashani was born around 1380 AD, about 782 AH, in the city of Kashan. This is why he is known as Kashani. At that time, Kashan was one of Iran's major cultural centers, famous for its handicrafts, architecture, and scientific activities. His family were scholars, and from childhood, he was raised in an environment familiar with study and reflection. During this era, mathematics, astronomy, geometry, and arithmetic were widely studied among Islamic scholars. Young Jamshid pursued these sciences with great enthusiasm, and, by studying the works of earlier scholars such as Khwarizmi, al-Biruni, Omar Khayyam, and Nasir al-Din Tusi, laid a solid foundation for his own innovative ideas. There are reports of his interest in scientific instrument making dating back to his teenage years. It is said that he first reconstructed a basic astrolabe and then tried to improve it.
One day, a clash broke out between Mongol and Iranian soldiers in the big bazaar of Kashan. Young Jamshid was tasked with leading the people of the city to the bazaar to resolve the problem peacefully.
Destiny. These days of the world pass in a peculiar manner, but...
Oh, Sheikh. I have a question.
The child had not attended the lesson. It's not a narration. The question must be answered.
Can God do anything he wants?
Whatever he wishes.
Even turn day into night against what is?
Of course. What is it that you are asking?
A childish question. Sheikh, what is 2 plus 2?
Everyone knows that.
Well, I am just a child.
It is 4.
If God wills, can it become 5?
Yes.
Can he make Muslim infidel Muslim?
Without a doubt, child.
Then if everything is in his hands, we have no choice. The worshipper and the sinner are at his will. So why have you all gathered here? All these efforts and habits you pursue become completely pointless. So wouldn't it be better for these people to go home and leave everything to God?
Which foolish, morally corrupt person taught you these things? Huh?
We have no choice, it must be God himself.
Tie up this poor child. The devil is whispering sweet words to him.
One of the major turning points in Jamshid's life was his migration to the city of Samarkand, a city that, during the reign of Shah Rukh and his son Ulugh Beg, had become one of the greatest scientific centers in the Islamic world. Ulugh Beg, the Timurid prince and prominent scholar, established a large observatory in Samarkand and gathered great scientists like Ali Kushji. Jamshid Kashani joined this observatory at Ulugh Beg's invitation. This event not only shows Jamshid's scientific reputation, but also allowed him to advance his research to a higher level in a highly scientific and research-focused environment, using precise astronomical instruments. At the Samarkand Observatory, he was simultaneously Ulugh Beg's teacher and research collaborator. In the first years of his residence in Samarkand, Jamshid began writing and compiling his works. Among his earliest surviving written works are the following: the Mathematician Treatise, an outstanding work in which he calculated the value of pi to 16 correct decimal places, a level of accuracy unprecedented for centuries. Zakira Khwarazmshah, a work written in Persian that includes explanations about the principles of mathematics. These works demonstrate that Kashani, besides mastering theoretical mathematics, had great interest and skill in practical applications of mathematics. For example, in the Mathematician Treatise, he used the method of regular polygons and precise calculation of side lengths to obtain pi with unmatched accuracy. One of Jamshid Kashani's most important innovations was the development of the concept of decimal arithmetic. He was the first to introduce the decimal numeral system in a complete and practical form in mathematics. At a time when most mathematicians used common fractions, Jamshid innovated the decimal system, making calculations easier and more accurate. This very innovation was later used in Europe centuries afterward by mathematicians like Simon Stevin and John Napier. Some researchers believe Europeans likely became familiar with this method through translations of Islamic works. Kashani was among the first scientists to use advanced numerical methods to solve complex mathematical and astronomical problems. He not only calculated to 16 decimal places, but also devised methods for extracting square roots, solving quadratic and cubic equations, and calculating sine and cosine values. In his works, he presented a systematic method for writing and using decimal numbers, which in practice paved the way for the development of calculating machines in later centuries. He even used something similar to modern algorithms in some cases, a step-by-step set of operations to reach a solution. Jamshid Kashani was skilled not only in theoretical calculations, but also in designing and building astronomical instruments. He designed some advanced astrolabes and angular measuring devices in a way that significantly improved the accuracy of measurements. He also contributed to the construction of a type of instrument called the quarter quadrant, an instrument used to measure the altitude of stars and perform angular calculations in observatories. Some reports suggest that Jamshid also played a role in designing an early form of an instrument similar to the sextant. Unlike many scholars of his time who mostly wrote in Arabic, Kashani had a special interest in writing in Persian. Of course, some of his works are also in Arabic, but a significant part of his scientific legacy was written in his native language, Persian. Kashani was not only a theorist, but also a precise engineer and instrument maker. Some of the instruments used at the Samarkand Observatory were either made by him or built under his direct supervision. He designed tools for accurately measuring the sun's altitude, astronomical angles, determining the meridian, and time calculations, which performed better than the standard instruments of his time. Sources mention that the precision of instruments made under Kashani's supervision was so high that they enabled the detection of solar and lunar eclipses with great time accuracy. Despite its scientific grandeur and glory, the Samarkand Observatory was not safe from political and financial troubles. In the later years of this scientific center's activity, disputes among court scholars, religious rivalries, and reduced financial support from the Timurid government made things difficult for the scientists. Some sources state that unhealthy rivalries even formed among the observatory scientists. Sometimes, differing views on data interpretation or calculation methods caused conflicts. Although Jamshid Kashani always avoided conflicts with wisdom and professional ethics, this tense environment still affected his scientific work. There are differing opinions about the exact year of Jamshid Ghiyath al-Din Kashani's death, but most sources consider 1429 AD, 832 AH, as the year of his death. Some reports mention sudden death or even assassination. In any case, his life ended during his time in Samarkand. Jamshid Kashani's works and scientific methods remind us that effective science education requires a few key principles. Kashani managed to teach difficult mathematical concepts in Persian using everyday examples, an unparalleled model for today's education. His emphasis on teaching mathematics in Persian sends an important message to our education system. Strengthen deep understanding of concepts through the native language. In his works, every theoretical concept comes with numerical applications and instrument making, a model that is very rare in education today. If these approaches are implemented in basic science curricula, Iranian students can achieve a deeper understanding of mathematics, just like Kashani. In the history of science, few figures have played the role of a bridge between the scientific civilizations of East and West, as Jamshid Kashani did. He transferred knowledge from the Islamic Golden Age to the Western Renaissance, though anonymously and without recognition in Western sources. His ideas, through the translation of Arabic and Persian works into Latin, and through scientific circles in the Ottoman Empire and Central Asia, inspired Western innovations in the 15th to 17th centuries. Thus, Kashani belongs not only to Iran, but to the global history of science. The life of Jamshid Ghiyath al-Din Kashani is the magnificent story of a mind that lit a star of science amid the political turmoil of the 9th century AH. He was an unparalleled mathematician, a pioneering astronomer, a wise teacher, and a person of strong ethics. He proved that it is possible to, from the small city of Kashan, achieve the most universal calculations, build the language of science using Persian, and from mathematics, build a bridge toward creation and its creator. Today, in an era when Iran needs role models for scientific growth and cultural confidence, returning to Kashani's ideas is not a choice but a necessity.